Back in 1954, Congress came together and they passed one of the most important tax bills in American history, and almost nobody talks about it. The original income tax was introduced in 1913, and for nearly 40 years, Congress had a massive problem. They didn't know how to tax trusts. For decades, money moved through these trust structures, but no one could agree on what actually counted as income. There was no clear rule, no consistent framework. So in 1954, Congress came together and they stepped back in. They passed what we now call Subchapter J of the tax code. On the surface, it looks boring. It's just the section that talks about trusts. But buried inside of Subchapter J was a quiet admission. Congress admitted they couldn't define income inside of irrevocable trusts on their own. So instead of forcing a federal definition, they made a different choice. They said, hey, we're just going to follow fiduciary law. In plain terms, it means the rules of the trust and the law of the state come first. The federal government comes second. That single decision changed everything. Because now, trust income wasn't being defined by politicians or federal agencies. It was being defined by the fiduciary of the trust, the trustee. And Congress understood exactly what they were doing. They understood trusts because they used them. They were trustees of family trusts and estate trusts, long-term structures designed for generations. This wasn't about breaking the law. It was about writing the law around their fiduciary structures. That's why this history makes people uncomfortable, because most people were taught that the IRS decides everything. And while that is typically true, it's not what Congress wrote in 1954. Subchapter J doesn't just belong to politicians, it belongs to fiduciaries. And fiduciary law doesn't care who you are, it cares how something is structured. Since then, this chapter has been sitting in the tax code since 1954, completely ignored, misunderstood, but still silently working for the politicians in the background. If you want to understand how fiduciary law and Subchapter J actually fit together, all you got to do is comment trust down below and we'll send you a simple blueprint that explains it all so you can understand just like everybody else.